Stella by Starlight, Chapter 26. Chicken Poop and Store-Bought Clothes. Stella hated cleaning the chicken coop. Sticky, gooey, stinky poop everywhere. Gummed into the straw, ground into the dirt, stuck in the fencing, flung against the slats of the wall of their enclosure. How do those dang birds do that? She wondered, scrunching up her nose. Her mother's boots clomped uncomfortably, even though she had stuffed the toes with old rags. The shovel kept slipping from her hands because Mama's gloves were too big. She hated it all. She entered the fenced area and shooed the thankless chickens to one side, blocking them with a large board Papa kept just for cleaning day. They clucked and squawked and protested, but for all Stella cared, they could be made into chicken soup that very minute. Every other Saturday, this was her chore. She began by shoveling up all the soiled straw and wood shavings and depositing the stinky mess into Papa's wooden wheelbarrow. When it was full, she wheeled the load out to the compost pile and added it to the potato peels, onion skins, apple cores, and every other piece of food garbage that was tossed there every night. Disgusting. But Papa used the mess to fertilize everything that grew around the place, and because of that, Mama's tomatoes were the biggest in Bumblebee. It took several barrows full to finish. Then she had to spread fresh wood chips and straw so the chickens could fill it with poop all over again. Ugh. But at least now it smelled fresh, and the chickens clucked with what she hoped was appreciation when she let them back into that side of the yard. Mama came out of the house, glanced at the clean chicken area, and told Stella she'd done a nice job. "Thanks. Do I still have to get all the right vegetables from the garden?" she moaned, sagging against the shovel. She was in a mood to trounce JoJo in checkers, not work outside all day. Plus, it was cold. "You do if you plan to eat tonight," her mother retorted. "The spinach will grow well into December if we keep it pruned, and that cabbage by the fence is big enough to pick. You might even find a few bush beans. And pull me some of them collard greens. They'll be great with a few potatoes." "Oh, Mama," Stella began. "Quit with your belly aching, child. I've got fish to clean and fry. You want my job?" Stella hated touching fish guts even more than coop cleaning. "No, ma'am." As she trudged towards the garden, she suddenly grinned with relief. Carolyn Malone was half running up the road, clutching a large book to her chest. "Good afternoon, Miss Mills," Carolyn called out. "We got something really exciting in the mail today. My mother said I could bring it here for a bit to show you." She held out the book and looked over at Stella with a grin on of her own. "Stella's got chores, Carolyn," Stella's mother replied. "You done with yours already?" "Yes, ma'am," Carolyn replied. "If I promise to help Stella finish hers. Can me and her look at this for a few minutes, please? I have to return it soon." The two girls looked at Stella's mother with pleading eyes. Mrs. Mills glanced at the treasure in Carolyn's arms. This year's Sears and Roebuck catalog," she murmured, wiping her hands on her apron. "That is truly special. I haven't seen the fall edition. My. Well, since it's here, let's take a look at it, girls. Or we can clean the windows," she added, winking. "Stella, go wash your hands first." "Thanks, Mama." Stella tossed the boots and gloves into a corner of the porch and rinsed off in a jiffy. Then she and Carolyn raced inside before Mama could change her mind. Stella pushed 3 chairs close together while Carolyn carefully placed the catalog on the table. "Oh, golly," Stella breathed, gingerly touching the thick book. The cover showed a painting of a white boy, maybe 12 or 13 years old, sitting at a desk doing homework. A desk lamp, brass probably, an inkwell, and various papers were placed around him. Behind the boy, as if it was on his wall or maybe in his mind, was a tall, majestic image of George Washington, standing in some clouds and looking serious and presidential. Mrs. Grayson will love that picture. "That's a painting by Mr. Norman Rockwell," Stella's mother told the girls. "Who's he?" Carolyn asked. "A famous painter." Peering close at the picture, Stella's mother said, "It looks like the boy is writing an essay on Washington, who was born in 1732. In 1932 is the 200th anniversary. I guess the folks at Sears and Roebuck are celebrating that." "Even fake boys on catalog covers got writing homework," Stella muttered. "Did you ever turn in your paper for the contest?" Mama asked. "Yes, Mama, yesterday," Stella said, "but it doesn't matter because mine won't get picked. Now, please, can we turn the page? I want to look at the clothes. Mama narrowed her eyes but let the subject drop. The three of them marveled over ladies whose sported hair curled tightly into the latest bobs, high-heeled shoes, and dresses made of cotton and crepe. The hemline stopped exactly halfway between the knee and the ankle, and most of the dresses were cinched tight at the waist with belts. In the children's clothing section, the dresses worn by smiling blonde children had lace collars and patent leather belts. One dress in a pale sea-green color made Stella trace its outline with longing. "That dress is just plain beautiful," she whispered. $1.94 for a dress," Mama exclaimed. "I could buy a whole bolt of cloth for that much." "Yes, but look how pretty these are," Stella said. "They've got rick-rack and buttons and bows." "You think I can't make a dress that pretty?" her mother asked. "Oh, I know you can, Mama," Stella said quickly. "It's just the ones in this book are store-bought." Turning more pages, they came to a full-size sewing machine sitting atop a wooden cabinet with 6 drawers. "Ah," Mama said, "now that's a beauty." $18.75, Stella read, shaking her head. They looked at toys for a quarter, shoes for $2, rifles for $47, and even plans for a whole house for $1,874. "I gotta be rich when I grow up," Carolyn said, folding her arms. "I gotta have money." "Don't aim for riches, child," Mrs. Mills said gently. "Aim for happiness." "If I get rich, I will be happy," Carolyn declared. "Maybe, maybe not." Mama turned another page, saying, "Just a few more minutes now, Stella. We have chores to complete." "What would you buy right now if you could?" Stella asked her friend. "Let's see." Carolyn turned a couple more pages, then flipped back to earlier in the catalog. "First, a bicycle, so I wouldn't have to walk to school. That would only cost me $20. Only. Oh, and I'd get a lot of fancy clothes like Paulette Packard has." At the name, Stella frowned. Paulette probably never had to play the "what would you buy" game. She just went out and bought it, most likely. Carolyn nudged Stella. "How about you?" "Everything you said," Stella replied slowly, "plus a big, fine house for my family to live in. Then I'd choose books to read, books I can keep, plus one pretty dress to wear to church, the pale green one." She stopped Carolyn at the page with a dress she loved. "Ooh, I'll take the blue one," Carolyn added, caressing the dress with her finger. Stella laughed and paged through the clothing section again, her face slowly growing more serious. Finally, she said in a low voice, "Did you notice I didn't even see one single person who looks like us in this big old book?" "Everybody knows colored folks don't have money to buy the stuff in this catalog," Carolyn reasoned. "It's pretty much a book for white people, so that's who's in it." Stella looked at her friend in frustration. "But colored people need shoes and hammers and nice dresses. They spend their money, too." "That's why I'm going to be rich," Carolyn asserted, "so it doesn't matter what color I am." "Why don't you two take your little colored selves outside and get those bush beans and collards in here before it gets dark?" Mama said, edging the book out from under their fingers. "Carolyn, I'm sure Stella would be mighty obliged for the help." The 2 girls scurried outside. Like Mama had said, that cabbage was ripe and ready, and they picked the beans and greens in record time. As soon as they were done, they washed their hands extra carefully at the pump to make sure not a speck of dirt would smudge the catalog. "All done, Mama. May I walk Carolyn home?" Stella asked as Carolyn fetched the book. "That will be fine. I tell you what, Stella," her mother replied. "Run this plate of fish down to Mrs. Bates' place while you're at it, while it's still warm. We have more than we can eat, and it won't keep." "Yes, ma'am." Stella took the plate. "Can I visit Carolyn's house after I take the fish?" "For a few minutes, but I want you home before dark. Got that?" "I will," Stella replied, hurrying out the door after Carolyn. "Oh, it's getting late," Carolyn said, looking at the sky. The sun would soon be sinking into a dusky evening. Like it, too, had been working all day. "I gotta go milk the cow." "Let me get this plate to Mrs. Bates, then I'll meet you at the barn," Stella said as both girls picked up speed. "Well, Stella Mills, how you be, sugar?" Mrs. Bates said as she opened the screen door a few minutes later. She was a thin, tired-looking woman, reminding Stella of a squeezed-out dish rag. "My daddy caught a huge mess of catfish this morning, and we can't eat it all, so Mama sent you some." Stella handed her the plate. "Bless your heart, child. That's right kindly of your Mama," Mrs. Bates said, her face lighting up. Tell her I truly appreciate it. So will my boy Randy. Can't seem to keep him filled up these days. Tell Randy I said hello, Stella said, and I'll see him at school on Monday. I sure enough will. He's out back in the woods with Tony Hawkins. They told me they'd be looking for coons and snakes and other critters. They best be getting back here afore dark, she said, scanning the sky, worry crossing her face. Stella said her goodbyes and started strolling back to Carolyn's when she noticed a strange glow about half a mile ahead. She stopped short. It was like the setting sun, but the bright orange image pulsed and undulated like no sun she'd ever seen. A flicker of fear raced through her as she thought back to the night the clan had burned the cross. This was a fire, and it seemed a whole lot bigger than that cross. She bit her lip, then realized with a gasp. The Spencer house! It was the Spencer house! The Spencer house was on fire.